Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man who broadcasts from places unknown, Mr. John Keys.
That's right. Hello, world. It is me. I'm here to talk nothing but fighting to you. That's all I got today. That's all I got. All right. So, yeah, what's going on, everybody?
Well, hey, I got to tell you, last week's episode, I got a lot of people who were enjoying our tales of Street Fighter 2. So, I mean, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. I cried a little bit after that show, believe it or not. I was like, I can't believe I brought up these memories, and it was too much. So,
well, I felt bad for you because I found out that you were a Vega fighter. I mean, come on, man.
Now, hold on, world. Now, let it be said, the next day, I brought an emulator with Street Fighter on there, okay? And I told him he can come to my desk anytime. I even had a controller waiting on him, just waiting on him to come and take and receive, catch these hands and claws, okay? But he never showed. Let it be said.
Okay, in all fairness, I didn't think you were serious. You should listen. Listen, it's not like you couldn't have texted me, emailed me, instant messaged me, called me, walked over to my desk and say, "Where you at? Come at me, bro."
I met you at
I
met you at lunch, high noon, and I looked at you in your eyes.
And you didn't say a word.
I said, "Whenever you're ready." Okay, I wasn't talking.
I thought you were inviting me to lunch. I was like, I'm already going to lunch with folks. I can't be going to lunch with you. I'm going with some other people.
All right. So you hear this, people.
You got to be more explicit. You got to be like, where you at, bro? Come at me. Do you even lift?
Oh, okay. All right.
All I got to say is this.
World.
Do you have an emulator tomorrow? Will you have an emulator tomorrow?
I will have it tomorrow, my brother.
Okay.
Okay, we can go down. Okay.
You will go down. I'm going to be the one standing up going, yatta!
Okay. All right.
Chun-Li all day,
if you got a
every
controller,
day.
I want you to bring your controller.
I don't have a controller. Look, I'll use a QWERTY keyboard if I have to. I'll beat you with a space bar and some arrow keys.
Oh, see, remember, people, those who talk much, they fall first. Okay, try the surprise.
This is gonna be
the fall.
Here. Do you want me to play the crow sound now, or do you want me to wait till after I beat you?
I tell you what, we'll play a video. Okay, we're gonna record this fight and just let the humiliation begin. Okay, somebody's going down.
Yeah, and
right?
it's going to be you. Apparently, there's a glitch, so every time you jump, it's going to be
Okay, I've learned since then. on what to do. So okay, not a problem, people. This is going down. Okay,
we're gonna make it happen. This is it. All right, let's get on with the show. First thing we're going to do is we gave a preview of the main event of Invicta 31. Let's go ahead and get that official decision out of the way. Here we go.
The official decision.
It was Invicta 31 at the Scottish Rite Temple in Kansas City, Missouri. This is the official decision. And the main event was a strawweight title fight between Verna Jandiroba, who was 13-0, versus Janasia Morandin, who was 10-1. And basically, it was the Jandiroba show. She put on a strong showing and finished with a second round victory. Arm triangle at 232 in the second round. There you go. You, Mr. Keys, with the keys to victory, picked the champ, and the champ won. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
I'm not eating crow on this.
It wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard. We do what she was going to do. That 13-0 is there for a reason. Even though there's a 10-0 on 10-1. Excuse me.
I guess now it's 10-2. Yeah.
Now she's 10-2. So it's okay. It's okay. she'll hopefully bounce back and do better. Just not as don't repeat what happened that Saturday night. Just please.
There you go. All right, that is the official decision. We are going to go ahead and close the pamphlet on that one.
It's pamphlet, 2-page.
Yeah, close the pamphlet on that one. Put it on the shelf.
In the ring. Yeah.
And because this one is history, we're going to go right into Finding the Angles.
Finding the Angles.
This is Finding the Angles. This is where we look at the headlines that are making waves in the UFC. There's not a lot of waves going on right now. There are just a couple of tsunami headlines that we have to get at. We're going to start off with some little ripples. This is going to be the calm before the storm, but then we've got some big beefs that we got to address. So let's go with the little stuff first. Sage Northcutt. This is Super Sage, considering signing with Bellator MMA. He was talking with Ariel Helwani on Monday, and he said, "I am a free agent, yes, sir. I'm not sure how it works, but my contract, what my contract says or anything. But yes, I am a free agent now, and I know that going over to leagues like Bellator or ONE FC or whatever it may be, that guys or friends of mine, like Rory McDonald, people who fought for the UFC like Machida, they're making double, if not triple, of what they're making fighting for the UFC." He said, "So I guess we're going to see what happens. But the difference is these guys are making more than what these guys are making fighting for the title in the UFC make. So I guess we'll have to see and find out what happens." Whoa, those are big words coming from one of the future stars of the UFC. I mean, he's kind of a star right now, but he doesn't have the record to support it.
Well, he not only was they big words, that was kind of a sneak diss on top of that. All right, a Super Sage sneak diss. All right.
Explain the sneak diss.
The sneak diss is when you say something on the passive aggressive level, like, they're making more money over here than our people who are fighting for the championship are over here at the UFC. That's a sneak diss. Okay. So, I'm gonna sit here and say that, I hope he does do it. I mean, he's a rising star. I would like to see him make the best out of his career. Okay. So what I'm hoping for is that he actually signs over.
Wow.
I hope he does.
Okay. I don't think the UFC is going to let him go.
There.
I mean, if you think about it,
let him go.
We've talked about Sage several times on this show. He is one of those people that is highly marketable. And what we've seen in the UFC is that you don't have to be a big winner if you are highly marketable. A person like Paige Van Zandt comes to mind. Yes, she does win fights, but she is not going to vie for the title. There are just too many killers that she's got to work through to get to that point. Sage Northcutt is really the same way, where he had a tremendous karate career. I mean, he's got the look, the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the 0% body fat, abs for days.
Yeah.
He's a Texan, which works for anybody. And, he's got that Southern charm, all of that stuff working for him. He's just not at a point where he's winning big fights. I think he's like 1-2 in his last 3 fights or something like that. But at the same time, because he has the look, because he's so marketable, that over time, if he gets good and gets on a streak, the UFC will be able to turn that into money for days, unless he decides to go over to Bellator. My question for you is this. Do you think it's the money, or do you think it's the fact that he's 1-2? I think he's like 1-2 in his last 3 fights. Maybe the talent is just too tough.
I think that's a combination of both. Okay. It's like, when you're bottlenecking with such good talent that you when you see these fighters in here, they are next generation fighters. Okay. So, Sage is just in the middle of that right now. He's young. He's got a lot to learn. I think he will make it. I think he needs to go someplace and grow and then come back and be a monster that we all know he is.
Okay. So I was incorrect about his record. He's on a 3-fight win streak. But he was 1-3 coming out of his. So before he went on a 3-fight win streak, he was 1-3. So out of his last 5, he's won 4 out of his last 5. So he's doing fairly well. But now that he's a free agent, he's got wins over Zach Arau, Thibaut Goudy, and Michael Quinones. Lost to Mickey Gall. Lost to Brian Barbarella. I mean, these are the type of guys we were talking about last week. Brian Barbarella, we talked about him just last week, and this is a guy who's fighting at welterweight. We're going to get to the types of welterweights that he would have to beat in order to become a champion. I just think it's too stacked at welterweight.
It is.
I am convinced now that this is not about money. This is about there is no pathway to the championship at the UFC. I should go to Bellator or ONE FC where I have a better shot.
Well, yep, and you're right. And that's what I think it is too. I think that, like I say, he can grow, if you plant too many bushes, all together, you're not going to grow. You're not going to grow quality stuff. You got to put it someplace else where there's not that many bushes there. Put it in good and just feed it, plant it, feed it, let it grow, and watch it mature into something mighty. And I think Sage Northcutt has it all. Okay, I think he can do it all, but he needs to be in a place where he can grow with the rest of the division. I think Bellator is a good place. A place that has Rory McDonald sitting there, waiting on him. Okay, and when he gets to that level, if he can beat Rory McDonald, then there you go. He comes back to the UFC, a triumphant champion.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go.
That's what I think.
There you go.
That would be my game plan. If I was his agent, that would be my game plan. Dude, just go to Bellator, make you a stack of cash, grow in your skill set, grow at a level where everybody's with you, beat the crap out of the Red King, and then come on back.
Yeah, except the fact that he trains with the Red King. So,
brothers got to fight brothers. Don't you watch martial art movies? Brothers fight brothers.
Yes, but it destroys gyms when brothers fight brothers. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's go on to the next story.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Diaz. We covered him about a domestic violence charge that had been raised against him. It would only be fair if we let everyone know that those charges have been dropped. He had all charges dismissed on his domestic violence case last week in Las Vegas. Basically, these charges were dropped with prejudice, and I didn't know what that meant. Do you know what that means to drop charges with prejudice?
Dropping charges with prejudice means basically that, okay, we just don't have enough evidence here, so I'm letting it go even though I don't want to let it go. He's doing it because on technicality.
That is absolutely wrong. Dropping charges with prejudice means we are dropping this case. It will not be reopened. This is done. That is what it means to drop charges with prejudice. When you drop without prejudice, that means we are dropping the case, but it could be reopened in the future. So basically what is happening, what the district attorney is saying is that whatever it is that was brought up against Nick Diaz was such a weak case that they are dropping it and they are not going to hear anything else about this particular incident again. That makes sense. That is a big statement. So all the stuff that we covered in the police report, I mean, was it true? Was those charges trumped up?
And I could have sworn that I remember, not only did he say it wasn't true, but his buddy told a completely different narrative where the girl was just completely crazy. Okay. And let this be a cautionary tale. Be careful with the crazy. That goes for both boys and men and women. All right. The crazy is fun, exciting, fiery. You're jumping over chandeliers. You're getting into knife fights and everything like that. But it fades eventually. Okay. It gets boring after a while. You want to leave crazy alone. You want boring love. Boring love, real love is boring. Okay. Real love is sitting on a couch on a Saturday night in your footies watching Cops, eating a pizza.
Okay.
That's what real love is.
That is very specific.
Not
All right.
saying that I'm in it. I'm not. I've been to both sides. Okay, let's just say it like that.
All right, yeah, I'm like, that is speaking from some type of experience there. Wow.
Hey, just saying. Knife fights. Just saying. Yeah.
All right.
One of these days, we'll talk about it.
Okay, so congrats to Nick Diaz. You beat a charge. Glad to know that you are back in the running for a fight in the UFC. There are a lot of people who want to see this man get back in the octagon. Let's go to,
and I'm one of them.
Let's go to one of the tidal waves that people are talking about. You know, we're getting closer and closer to a decision being made for Jon Jones. Jon Jones, as many of you know, is probably the greatest MMA, the greatest martial artist in the modern UFC era. I think that's a fair statement to say.
With an asterisk, please.
He's got an asterisk. Now, why does he have an asterisk?
Because he has violated the USADA regs too many times to be called the greatest martial art. Is he a phenomenal fighter? Yes, but he has been busted too many times for USADA. Okay, and
USADA is the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. They are the people who regulate the drug testing in the UFC to make sure performance-enhancing drugs are not being used to enhance a fighter's chances of winning in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So Jon Jones already has 2 violations. The second one, he's facing a 4-year suspension, which would be extremely detrimental to his career. He's currently like 31, so right in the prime of his career. Those 4 years would push him to about 35. And at that point, he'd be on the decline. Basically, his biggest nemesis, which would be Daniel Cormier, would be out of the sport for many years at this point. And there's just not a lot that he would be able to do. The sport will have moved past him by. And, frankly, at that point, coming back after a 4-year suspension, who knows what the state of the sport will be and whether or not he could be as dominant as he might have been if he could compete today.
I don't think he is. I don't think he will be. I'm sorry. I don't think he will be because we're starting to see the prototypes for the next generation of fighters starting to come up, and they're starting to mimic him. Okay, so eventually, within 4 years' time, there's going to be a prototype fighter in each weight division that will mimic him. What does that put him at? And he's got to fight these younger, faster, stronger fighters. Now, unless he pulls a genetic Yoel Romero, where he just won't age and he stays, physically fit, like a Greek god, then, there's nothing he's gonna be on the downward slope.
Well,
he's gonna be slower.
Let's just be clear that the reason why Yoel Romero doesn't age is because he is the soldier of God. God has one soldier, his name is Yoel Romero. Don't forget
and
Jesus.
That is absolutely correct. Yes, Jesus.
So RT Sport is a Russian news agency. I don't know what the T stands for, but it's RT, Russian Times. I don't know, but their sports section,
Russian Talk.
It's RT. That's the name of the Russian news agency. They interviewed Jon Jones. It was a very long, interesting interview where he said a lot of things. And the first thing he opened up about was his upcoming USADA decision. Remember, USADA is U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. Basically what he said is, as far as the whole steroid situation, I never did them. I do believe it was found in my system, a very small amount, metabolite, but I never intentionally took my performance enhancers, and I've been working my tail off for the last year to try and prove that. Right now, we're still waiting for what they're going to do. He says, I'm hoping for a reduced sentence from 4 years, but I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm just staying faithful and trying to do the right things and just focusing on the things I can control while waiting. Question for you. Do you think he's going to get 4 years or something less than 4 years?
Well, the right thing to do is give him 4 years and call it a day. Just because he violated. There should be a simple pass-fail. You pass or you fail. You fail, you violated. We find in your system whether you knew of it or not. You should have known and should have had the supplements tested before you put it in your body, because there's too many fighters out there that pass. What's really going to happen, they're going to reduce the sentence. He's going to fight in November against Gustafsson. There you go. That's what's going to happen.
Wow. You know what? I think so too. I think that he's going to get time served. There was a lot last year. One of the former board members or something like that, one of the big leaders over at USADA, went and testified saying that he did not believe that Jon Jones intentionally took performance-enhancing drugs, that he must have gotten some type of tainted supplement or something that produced the effect that gave him the positive test. The other thing that that came out later is that, basically Jon Jones in a subsequent test should have still had the metabolite in his system, and he didn't. And so therefore it brings into question as to whether or not something had gone wrong, and that he was sincere about whether or not he was trying to get an advantage. With that said, you got to have standards for the rules. Once you start looking into the gray areas for things like this, then it begins to undermine the integrity of the system. So,
exactly.
Let me go ahead, because if KC hears me say this, he's going to be calling me every single day and like, wait, you're Mr. Gray Area. I know I'm Mr. Gray Area. I am. I live in the gray.
Pass-fail.
However,
there's got to be a pass-fail.
However, when you're talking about regulation of a sport, you really can't allow, these types of things to go on a case-by-case basis. When it comes to discipline, when it comes to regulating or managing a sport, we've seen what happens when the UFC executes a case-by-case basis. You have the haves and the have-nots. You have Conor McGregor, who can go and throw a dolly through a window and then get the biggest fight in the UFC history a couple of months later. And then you can have someone who has to go and take anger management for saying something wrong in a heated moment while their camera's rolling. So how is it that, you can have such broad discrepancies in how punishments and conduct is measured? And that's because you have a case-by-case gray system. So USADA, I think you need to have one rule. Jon Jones needs to go for 4 years. But you're right, he's not.
Yeah, exactly. And it's unfortunate because now those fighters that are doing it right, they're looking at this like, what in the world? And it just tells me that it's corrupt. That USADA is corrupt, and there's got to be some money trade, because that's the only reason why you would bring Jon Jones back from the brink, is because he is a super money draw. Because had this been Tim Kennedy, he would be a faded memory, and we know this.
And I wouldn't be upset about that. But let's continue.
Not really.
So the RT Sport interview did not end there, because Jon Jones then mused about one of my favorite fighters in the pantheon of great UFC fighters, and that is the current Bellator Grand Prix competitor, the bad guy, American gangster, Chael Sonnen.
Something tells me that I don't think Jon thought that interview would go international. Something tells me, because you don't troll the troll of trolls as a UFC troll that turned Bellator troll, and now you're going to go after him.
Wait. So talk about who Chael Sonnen is.
He is the American gangster. He is the bad guy. He is the Republican that you are forced to love. Okay, because he talks.
Wait, he's John McCain.
Ooh. Too soon, bro. Too soon. Okay, too soon.
I mean, everybody loves John McCain.
Yeah, and everybody loves Chael Sonnen. If you don't like Chael Sonnen, he talked bad about you, or he said something and it hurts your feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the reason why you don't like Chael Sonnen.
Just for the record, there is no relationship between the type of person that John McCain was and the type of person that Chael Sonnen is. They are two separate.
Absolutely
there is nothing. That I just made a joke. I wasn't making a true analogy there. Continue.
And just one side note, if you want to compare John McCain to anybody, you call him Captain America. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Okay, so going on. Okay, Chael Sonnen has mastered a skill that very few UFC fighters have ever mastered, and that is the art of the trash talk. He must have poured over hours of Ric Flair, of Randy the Macho Man Savage, and everybody else, and Bobby Heenan. Okay, if he the greatest wrestling trash talker of them all. And he just rolled it up in one beautiful package, and he's been on a tirade since he's walked in that ring. He is what Colby Covington wishes that he could think about, that he can act like, that he could pretend to be like, that he can think about again.
Right. Before there was Conor McGregor, there was Chael Sonnen.
Conor McGregor don't even get on that level.
Man,
okay,
well, I don't know.
He wants no part of Chael Sonnen.
I don't know.
He wants no part of it.
I'm just saying.
He'll rip that Irishman apart. Okay?
Well, they are technically in two different weight classes, but the thing is that when Chael Sonnen introduced the power of the promo talk, and that's what KC and I kind of coined this trash talking that's specifically designed to egg someone into fighting you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really have any animus against that person, but you want them to fight you. You want them to sign that contract. So you're just going to push that button until they just get so mad that they fight you. And that's what Chael Sonnen perfected. And that's what made Conor McGregor a superstar. However, speaking on that, Jon Jones in this RT Sport interview said, I think Chael Sonnen is the worst trash talker. Just because a lot of stuff he says is gibberish. Conor McGregor, when he talks trash, there's a lot of truth behind what he's saying. I think Khabib will be under more pressure just because he has a very dangerous fighter who usually backs up what he says. Where Chael Sonnen is known to talk trash and lose. This did not sit very well with Chael Sonnen.
And just like that, the internet came for him. Okay?
Yes.
And unleashed a tirade on a level that, I haven't seen Chael Sonnen talk this level since Vanderlei Silva and the Nogueira brothers. Okay? I mean, he went into rare form. He pulled that Superman cape out from the back, and he went in.
All right, so let's go over some of the things that Chael Sonnen said to Jon Jones. Now, some of this, if you don't follow the sport, it may be a little over your head. So John, what I'll need you to do is I'm going to read the quote, and then what I want you to do is explain why this is a burn. Okay?
Okay, I'll do my best.
All right. So the first one was Jon heard your critique, forgot you were in the business, even as a spectator.
That's because Jon Jones is currently under suspension, and he can't even look at a ring for too far.
The next thing he said was, Jon, you trash talk about as well as you exchange insurance info after traffic accidents.
And this happened because in an infamous car wreck incident where he was busted, he hit a pregnant woman.
Jon Jones,
jumped out. Yeah, Jon Jones ran, then doubled back, thinking, and people were like, "Oh, he's going to save the pregnant woman." No, he went and grabbed his bong, his little weed pipe, and booked off some more. Good job, Jon.
All right, the next one. He says, Jon, I treasure you. As long as you're around, I look like a clean overachiever.
Now, this happened in regards to Chael Sonnen's clean USADA record, or lack thereof.
Yes.
Okay. They're both kind of dirty. Okay. And Chael Sonnen, but he has said that it's been for TRT. Yeah,
which is
okay.
testosterone replacement.
That's testosterone replacement therapy.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah. So there you go. And Chael has only been busted like once. Jon Jones, of course, has been busted twice, plus incidents with the law, all kinds of stuff like that. Here's the next one. Jon Jones's career, one big side effect. You spend more time on the shelf than a library book, you bum.
Ouch. Do you smell that? That smells like rubber burn.
That's a burn.
That was a serious burn. That's a rash there. He might need some Neosporin.
Right, because it's been
for a couple of years.
Well, yeah, I think it's been a year since Jon Jones.
Yeah, it has been a year because he came back, kicked Daniel Cormier in the head, got the belt.
So his last fight was July 29th, 2017. So it's been a year and a month. So 13 months since Jon Jones has fought last. Before then, it was at least like another year, right?
Yes, because they were supposed to fight again, and he got busted. He got popped right before the day of the match.
So Jon Jones has fought like 3 times in 3 years. So it's been crazy like that. Here's the next one. Turn your cell phone off. USADA has GPS tracking.
Now, this one I love, okay, because there's a story, an offhanded story, that when USADA was trying to track down Jon Jones, that there's this alleged rumor, okay, that when they came to Jackson-Winklejohn, he was underneath the octagon ring and stayed there until they left.
Whoa.
But he's not guilty. At all. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that story.
Yeah, there's a couple of fighters that will attest to that. Cerrone being one of them.
Really?
Yes, I will find. Apparently, I got to go digging in the archives, and I'll find it for you. It was on a Joe Rogan podcast on top of that. So
wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. We're gonna do one more, and what he said was, Jon Jones, your career took a bump in the road and then you tried to snort it. I heard you're not allowed at your brother's football games because you tried to snort all the lines off the field.
Well, it's just like with Whitney Houston, that while crack was whack, she was in love with the coca.
Wow, I can't believe you went with Whitney Houston. So yeah, Jon Jones got in trouble because he wrecked his car and he was under the influence of cocaine, right? So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and he talked about stories about the week of the fight that he would do a 2-day party and he would get a little powdered up. Let's just say it like that.
Well, Jon Jones was not done on this interview, because then he said that he wants 2 more fights with Daniel Cormier. He said, I want to break the idea of him thinking he can beat me. I believe that doing that at light heavyweight would be the smartest thing to do for a 3rd time. Then leading into our 4th fight, a possible 4th fight for the championship of the world, his confidence won't be in the right spot. It won't, and I think it will help me take that 4th victory over him and that heavyweight championship from him. I think I have his number. Dude, he was all in Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier has failed to beat Jon Jones in 2 occasions. The second one was by head kick destruction.
Yes. Boom, rocked him. Yeah. Did I say that right? Or was that bad delivery? Was that a bad delivery?
Yeah, the delivery should be something more akin to this.
Boom, rocked him.
Okay. All right. I'll go back and work on my crane kick.
All right. There you go. So Daniel Cormier is like, oh, really? So he responds on Twitter and says, big goals for a guy that could only achieve them after he finished getting disciplined for his 3rd drug failure. I mean, geez, this guy, #cheater. So we know where the soft spot is on the trash talking with Jon Jones. You just go right into the performance enhancing drugs and USADA violations.
And I'm not mad at DC for going there because it's the truth. You know, he is. Only thing Jon Jones has proven is that he can only beat DC while he is juiced up.
The first one he didn't get popped for the first one though.
You know, and that one that'll always be questionable. Okay, was he using a supplement that wasn't tested at the time? I mean, everything about what he has done screams that we can't trust anything that he's done previously. Okay, that's all I have to say about it.
But Jon Jones responded to DC. He said on Twitter, "Does my big goal somehow offend you? Why the need for name calling?" He said, "I set you up with several attacks to your body. You began to protect your belly, so I kicked you in your head. But you're right. Somehow a steroid metabolite right before the fight made me smarter. You're the champ. I'll stop dreaming now." He did not have the juice for Chael Sonnen to go back and forth with Chael, but that's a burn with DC. That's a burn.
That was like the ultimate passive aggressive. I'm gonna burn and I'm just gonna leave it here for you.
Wait. So was that a sneak diss? What was that you used earlier in the show?
It was. That's a super sneak diss, actually. That is on levels that you're like, it almost make you question it for a second. Like, was he being legit or was he being snarky? That's pretty good. Okay, when you can throw it out there, a diss out there, and you leave them guessing, like, was he being legit?
No, he was. He was being legit because there was. Yeah. So there is a video. I sent it to you in your text message. So if you go back and look at a couple of days ago, I sent you a video. It was basically a video of someone breaking down fighters' big attacks. If you watch it to the end, it's Jon Jones's head kick that he's talking about here against Daniel Cormier. Yes. They cut to a pre-fight press conference where someone asked Jon Jones if he sees any weakness in Daniel Cormier, and Jon Jones responds, "Yes, I see a tendency that Daniel Cormier has that I intend to exploit." Daniel Cormier responds and says, "Oh, do you talk about the way that I tend to lean to my right side whenever I'm checking body kicks?" He said, "I am going to be working on that. That hole will not be available for you in this fight." And then Jon Jones used that exact move and kicked him in the head as he leaned to the right to check a body kick, and the rest is history. So I'm with Jon Jones here. No amount of steroids is going to help you set that kick up and land that kick. He landed that kick legitimately.
And I have nothing against the kick, but I am questioning the power behind it. Okay. That's all I have to say.
Okay, listen. If you can knock somebody out with a glancing blow, I mean, it don't take a lot to. I mean, you catch somebody in the head, and they're leaning into it. A kick in the head's a kick in the head. You're not going to walk away from a 205-pounder kick in the head as you're leaning into it. I'm sorry. Take half the strength off of that. You're still going to get rocked.
Well, let me be nice about it. It's not only that. It's even if you take away the power, it was the location of that kick in the head. It was right behind the ear. He set it up. If I hate to say it, it was a perfectly placed kick. You know, there was no denying that. Yep. Okay, he hit him right in the brain matter, and that was all she wrote.
This is like I say about, I always say this about Barry Bonds. Yes, Barry Bonds, I believe Barry Bonds took performance-enhancing drugs. That helped him get that ball a little bit farther. But at the end of the day, you still have to put the bat on the ball. You still have to put the bat on the ball. And so what Jon Jones did, he put his bat, a.k.a. his skinny little chicken legs, on Daniel Cormier's head, a.k.a. the ball, and he hit a home run.
And he sent it flying out the arena. Okay.
Yes, he did.
To be recovered much later. Okay.
All right. We've done enough on Jon Jones. I want to touch very quickly on the battle between. This is going to come back to Jon Jones, so we're not finished with Jon Jones. But I want to touch on this battle between Donald Cerrone and Jackson-Winklejohn, which is the gym that he's trained at since 2007. Coming up, I want to say 229, 230 UFC 230, I think, is the fight where Donald Cerrone is going to fight his stablemate in Mike Perry. And what's happened is that Jackson-Winklejohn gym has chosen to train Mike Perry, the newcomer to the gym, as opposed to the old head who's been at the gym for a long time. Cerrone has taken this very poorly. He has started to really talk bad about Jackson-Winklejohn gym, really saying that since Mike Winklejohn has merged with Greg Jackson, that the quality of the gym has gone down. Fighters have left. Fighters have started losing. And the fact is that there was a time when the great George St. Pierre trained at trained at Greg Jackson's in Albuquerque. There was a time when some of these other great fighters used to train there. And now when you think about their roster, Holly Holm has lost her title. Jon Jones is on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you start associating a lot of these fighters with either losing, like Frank Mir, who trained there, or Andre Arlovsky, who's trained there. Travis Brown trained there, and these are all fighters with that have lost a lot, or they've gotten busted for some type of drugs, and so the question is to you, you know, since Jackson-Winklejohn merged, has this training, this gym, which was an elite gym, has it gone down since they merged in 2007, I believe?
Yes, in many ways they have. You know, you called it. You forget, you know, you forget Overeem, Alistair Overeem. He trained there. I don't know if he's still training there. I think he's not. Okay, but it's just the whole fact that there has to be some sort of discipline that goes on in that gym. When you have too many bad things happening in that gym, you really need to start and say, sit back, turn around, and say, what's going on in the gym? Okay, Greg Jackson. When I was watching MMA and when I first started noticing Greg Jackson, he is a tactical machine. Okay, he is the force. He was the tactical force behind George St. Pierre's victory. Okay, he told him how to beat people. Greg Jackson, and you know, he was a phenomenal cornerman. To me, it started going down at the Jon Jones Rashad Evans fight.
Exactly,
because Dana White sat there and said, "We're going to make y'all fight," and both of them were, you know, Jon Jones was like, "Well, that's cool, you know, we'll fight." Rashad Evans was like, "No. Okay, I'm your brother. We've trained together. We know each other's weaknesses." Well, and I understood that.
And that's why I'm glad you brought that up. And I told you it's going to come back to Jon Jones, because what happened is that tore that friendship apart, and it tore the gym apart, because the person who helped build Greg Jackson to the elite status that it was Rashad Evans. That Rashad Evans being on The Ultimate Fighter and winning at heavyweight, winning The Ultimate Fighter at heavyweight, and then coming to light heavyweight and won the title. That was like the big success story for Greg Jackson. And then this newcomer, Jon Jones, who Rashad Evans had been training with, Greg Jackson chose Jon Jones. Mike Winklejohn chose Jon Jones. And that's why Rashad Evans left that gym, went to Blackzilla's, and his career kind of took a tank after that because Jon Jones whooped him. Yes. And, you know, and after that, you would have thought they'd learned their lesson. Don't let brothers fight brothers from your same gym.
It happened again. It happened. Who was it? Was it Carlos Condit and Diaz? Was it those two? No, it was Carlos Condit and George St. Pierre. That's where they split in, because Carlos Condit was like, "No, I won't fight him," and they sided with George St. Pierre, and he was like, "You know what? I'll leave." Okay, you know what? I will not put an official. No. I believe in this. But I did know he left for a reason.
No, but George St. Pierre ended up leaving because Carlos Condit still trains in Albuquerque.
So it was George St. Pierre that left.
So George St. Pierre ended up going to TriStar because that's where George St. Pierre trains now. You know.
Yes. Okay. That's what happened. But sorry, world. I got it backwards.
But the thing is that now they've done it again by choosing Mike Perry, the newcomer, over the old head who helped bring more and more attention to this gym. I can't believe they chose him. But this is the thing. What hasn't been coming out is the fact that Donald Cerrone has his own gym.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's been taking fighters to go and train at his gym, and that doesn't sit well with the Mike Winklejohn. And so what's happened is that Mike Winklejohn criticized Donald Cerrone by saying that loyalty is a two-sided street. Cowboy is not loyal to anybody in the gym. He's on his own. He does his own thing. He has not, from what he can remember in the last 10 years, ever helped anybody out with their own camp. He's as narcissistic as they come. He says that Cerrone has for several years drawn training partners and coaches away from the gym to train at his gym, but hasn't contributed to Jackson-Winklejohn consistently as a team presence. So I don't know who to believe here, but I just think that when it comes to, if you have a new guy coming into the gym and you have an old guy who's been training there forever, you train the old guy and you wish the new guy well.
Exactly. That's called loyalty. And Jackson-Winklejohn has not shown loyalty at all when it came to the crucial decision. And to defend Cerrone, the reason why Cerrone, and I remember listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, because I'm confused at the situation too, because Cerrone has always been there for Jackson-Winklejohn. But he said that the reason why he opened up his own gym was because that pretty much anybody can walk in the gym, pay a fee, and be training with the stars. Okay, he said he cannot do that. He does, because that's how injuries happen. You don't know this person, and next thing you know, they could be out to injure you, or you might injure them. He's like, I'm not gonna stand for that. I'll go someplace where I can train. I can focus on my training, which is ironically something that the same thing Rashad said, that he left because he wanted to focus on his training as well. Wow.
All right. So let's move on to the last story. Colby Covington slams UFC 228. That's the pay-per-view we're going to talk about next. He calls it the number one contender main event. Now, according to Colby Covington, this fight that we're getting ready to cover is a scramble that they needed to fill a pay-per-view slot. He says they wanted to get Tyron Woodley a fight because he hasn't fought in a year. And he considers it a number one contenders fight. They're fighting for the number one contendership. Basically, he said that he is the true champ. Colby Covington, the interim title holder, is somehow the true champ, even though there is the big word interim in front of his championship title, which I hear is going to be stripped at the commencement of the fight between Tyron Woodley and Darren Till.
Yeah, as soon as the referee declares the fight on, or when the first punch is thrown, that's when he gets officially stripped, which couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Yep. So let's talk about this fight card that's coming up in our backyard this weekend with the fight card. I am always excited for pay-per-views when they are coming up. This one is coming up on Saturday in our backyard at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. UFC 228, Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till. There are 5 big fights on the card. The first fight of the night is Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Nico the Hybrid Price. This is going to start off with fireworks.
Yes, and I think it's going to start with fireworks at the early prelims. So if I can find some place that actually shows the early prelims, I'm going to be there. But yes, it's starting off with violence, and it's going to be a bloodbath in the ring. So Al Hassan, good luck on that. Never go for a guy that's named the Hybrid. There you go.
Okay. So we're going to wait for the flash fight pricks, but we'll come back to that. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Jessica Batistaca Andrade. That's Jessica Andrade. Woo!
Yes.
This is a fight. Oh,
Yes. Like
Oh
I
my
said,
gosh.
this is going to be violence in the ring. There will be violence. There will be blood. Okay, there will be blood.
oh my gosh. Karolina Kowalkiewicz is one of my favorite female fighters at 115 pounds. She is just behind Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and it's not just because it's fun to say their names. Karolina Kowalkiewicz is such a phenomenal technical striker. I love to watch this Polish woman fight. But she is fighting Jessica Andrade, who's probably one, between her and Claudia Gadelha, they are probably the two strongest women at 115 pounds. These are people that can just ragdoll you. Jessica Andrade, she is known, bate estaca, means pile driver.
Woo! Thank you for the Portuguese, because I was sitting here like, what does bate estaca mean?
Yeah.
Thank you for the Portuguese lesson, sir.
Pile driver. So this is right there. You've got fireworks. But then we go on to the future of 145 pounds, Zabit Magomed-Sharipov, who is part of that Dagestani gangster crew led by Khabib Nurmagomedov. He is fighting a short-term replacement, Killer Bee, Brandon Davis. This is academic. This is not going to be pretty for the Killer Bee.
No, it will not. Okay, you literally, you're fighting the best at that weight division.
Yeah.
Or is it safe to say that? Is it really safe to say that?
It's not safe to say it because he still has to fight Max Holloway and Brian Ortega. Those are some big names that he's got to face. But I say he's the future.
Yes. Okay. Future is good. There is number 3 of the top 3 killers.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Easily number 3.
But I will say it like this. I saw a video on YouTube of a guy feeding roaches or crickets to a bullfrog. This is what this is. The bullfrog was like,
is he going to get a chance to get off the ground and get caught, or is he just going to go in there and get it?
All I know is, to quote one of my favorite movies, A Knight's Tale, there's going to be pain. He will flog him.
I was getting ready to say that sounds like the quote from Rocky 3. Clever Lang.
Oh, yeah, Clever Lang, yeah.
What's your fight prediction?
Pain.
Oh, man.
In the
Can't go wrong with Rush 3.
In the co-main event, Nico Montano, who is the 125-pound champion. She's never defended her title. She won it by winning the Ultimate Fighter reality show. She became the Ultimate Fighter and the 125-pound flyweight champ. She is going to face off against Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko. Everybody is basically giving Shevchenko this belt. They're just saying, okay, Nico, it was nice that you won the Ultimate Fighter. They handed you that pretty belt just to hold and keep warm for Valentina Shevchenko.
The only thing that's left for Valentina to do is to walk in with what's a good song to walk in on?
I don't know. We're not even going there.
Yeah, man, we're going there. Oh, Unchained Melody. There you go. You come in there with Unchained Melody.
See, it's
pretty much a done deal. That's it.
Yeah.
Because I've listened to and honestly, I'm gonna say it right now. She's gonna be my underdog pick because when you have Ray Longo and it's sitting there saying that this is a case for the athletic commission to come in and call this fight off because of what Valentina is going to do to Nico, I have a problem with that. Okay, she is the champion. She is going to defend her belt. Now, whatever happens when that ring closes is a totally different story. But you do not count the champion out, okay? Never count the champion out. Because she may pull out something. She might pull out a Mighty Mike to Mike Tyson. You never know.
Okay.
We're going to look at it realistically. She's going to kill her. Valentina's going to kill her.
Valentina Shevchenko. I'm trying to figure out what the hell you're doing because Valentina Shevchenko's coming in at a minus 600 as the challenger. Like,
really?
This is a hurricane. Like what you got is a little shack in Nico Montano, and a hurricane blowing ashore, like the shack is already rattling. A minus 600 to a plus 450. There you go.
Well, you know.
And then in the main event, you've got the chosen one, Tyron Woodley versus Darren the Gorilla Till. There's so many stories here. You know, it's just crazy. Darren Till is like twice Tyron Woodley's size, but Darren Till has not made weight in his last 2 fights. If he doesn't make weight, he can't fight for the title. Tyron Woodley said it's just he don't care. He wants to fight this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. If he's coming in there, he says he's gonna make weight. He's gonna eat. I'm gonna trust Darren Till until Darren Till doesn't make weight. But understand this: if he doesn't make weight, he can't fight at this weight division anymore. He has to go up.
Well, I think he should go up. He should be fighting at middleweight anyway.
Yes. I think he should.
He's going to end up being like Anthony Johnson, where he's fighting at 170, but he really should be fighting at 205. And he's probably going to do a fight at heavyweight just for kicks and giggles.
Yeah. All
right, let's do some flash fight picks. We're going to do the whole card. We know pretty much everybody on this card, so let's go for it. Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Nico the Hybrid. Price, you said no going for the hybrid.
No go for hybrid. Sorry.
So you're going for Al Hassan. I'm taking Price. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Jessica Andrade. Who you got?
Man, dude, that's so hard. I'm going with Andrade. I'm going in with Andrade. I'm taking the wild card here.
All right, I'm going with Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Zabit Magomed Sharapov versus Killer B. Brandon Davis. Who you got?
Oh, man, you know, Magomed Sharapov. There you go. Magomed Sharapov.
Magomed Sharapov is your pick. I am going with that one as well. Nico Montano versus Valentina Shevchenko. Is the underdog going to retain the title?
In my heart, it says Nico, but in my mind, it says Valentina decisively.
So who do you pick?
I'm going with my heart. I'm going with my heart, man. Going with my heart.
All right. I'm going to go like this. 1 shot, 1 kill, bullet to the dome,
Ooh.
Valentina Shevchenko, and new.
Dang, by the one-hit acquittal. Oh, man.
And finally, the chosen one, Tyron Woodley versus Darren, the Gorilla Till.
Get ready for a fight. Tyron Woodley by decision.
All right. I like that, but because I want you to eat crow, I'm going with Darren Till. And new. We're going to see 2 new titles crowned. Join us next week for the results. Follow us on social media. On Twitter, I'm at CST Ryan.
And I'm at Keys to Victory, and that's Keys with the ES.
All right. You can check out the website at www.combatsportstalk.com. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Facebook, and Instagram. Oh, did I happen to mention we're on Spotify? Yes, I did.
Ooh.
Oh. And we now have merchandise on Amazon. Search for Combat Sports Talk. We've added a new section on the website for live events. We're going to be talking to George G. Money Stallworth at Austin Avenue during the fights this weekend. So tune in to that as well. Do you have anything else to say before we go?
Not today. I'm good. Make sure you tune into our live podcast. All right, we might say some funny stuff. All right. Here we go. Our theme music is composed by Scott McCurry at scottdeancountry.com. Casey Onyebuchi produced our lead-ins. I want to thank you for joining us for another edition of Combat Sports Talk. For John Keys, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, keep your chin tucked, and throw bombs.